Yeah, thank you for the interview and the opportunity. My first question is a big one, and it's not that nice, because Legion will come out next summer, and all the players will have to wait a long time and with no content. Can you please explain us why we have to wait so long?
So first thing I'll say is it's just like every other expansion. We usually get to the last content patch and have a really extreme amount of time between the last content patch and the last raid tier, and then kind of the next thing that comes out. The reason you have to wait is because it's not done, and we want you to have a good time when you play it. The Death Knight, or sorry, the Demon Hunter starting experience that you've got right now feels really good, and it's a good solid 2 hours. But the rest of the game is not to that level. One of the things that we are doing is we've got a content patch that is coming out. It's a small patch that's coming out here the next couple of months. It's going to bring back the Valor system, so people will be able to upgrade their gear that they have in place, become a little bit more powerful. We're going to add the Cataclysm dungeons into the different time walking systems, and then we also have added a kind of a pretty significant reward for the heroic Archimon in the form of the Moose Mount. So, it's definitely something that we want to decrease the amount of time on. The WoW team has never been larger. We've got 250 people who are on the team now trying to make the game and make things better. But, the most important thing is that you have a great experience whenever it actually comes out.
Is there a specific reason why you had just added one major content patch in Warlords of Draenor?
Yeah, one of the thoughts that we had was we wanted to really decrease the amount of time between the expansion, and so we ended up doing something we feel like at the end was probably a mistake, which is kind of not having the breadth of content, the breadth of different kind of patches that we've had over the course of the years, over the course of previous years. So that's definitely something that we want to change with Legion. We want to have. We don't know exactly how many things we're going to do, but we definitely want to have a different strategy with regard to the different kind of content things that we're doing.
For example, smaller patches, but more patches or something like that.
Yeah, we haven't decided exactly how many it's going to be or what the right thing is, but we definitely want to have a faster or a cadence of content where people feel like the game is changing a little bit more than it has in the past.
I saw yesterday 10, I guess, dungeons for Legion. Is it the final number, or will there be more dungeons? Because Legion is an expansion focused on dungeons.
I think we were talking about different kind of dungeon modes. We're talking about different types of dungeon difficulties. One of the things we added in Warlords of Draenor was the mythic level dungeons. I don't think it's necessarily like that we're going to add more dungeons too, but one of the things that we could talk about is different kind of reward tiers or different kind of modes that we could bring for people.
So I've heard you have a pretty huge scenario in Legion. For one, I have to say, yay, scenarios are back. It's 20 Alliance players and 20 Horde players fighting towards the Tomb of the Jaras. We were wondering, when Legion is already a few months out, how will it work with players? Because the player numbers are fewer who are reaching this point where they have to play this. How are you going to realize that for them, that they still can play that, even if they don't have 20 versus 20 or something like that?
Is the question about how are we going to balance the sides of the faction, or is it how are we going to make sure
people are going to play this when there are not 20 players on each side?
Not enough players.
I see. I don't know today. There's a million things we could do in order to solve that. We could wait and not have the scenario launch. We could scale the scenario. We could matchmake the scenario. There's a lot of different options for that. I don't actually know what we're going to decide to do. That's not a hard problem.
Yeah, let's see. I lost my question. That's really nice. So the garrison is a thing for Warlords of Draenor, but with Legion there will be class halls. Can you tell us what elements from the garrison will make it to the class order halls?
The answer is very few. One of the things that we decided from the very beginning of the creation of the Garrison is that it would be a system that you left behind. It would not be something that you carried forward with you from expansion to expansion. And so, one of the things that we're talking about is what does sort of the Garrison follower system, what is the Garrison mission system? That's the kind of the things that we want to carry forward into the class order halls. But we haven't actually decided exactly what the right way to do that is. We do know that we want the class order hall to be the place for the class gathering place. We do want it to be a multiplayer area where the paladins of the world gather or the shaman of the world gather, so that they have that kind of commune with their paladinness or commune with their monkness, as it were. But in terms of like what the missions are going to be and how they're actually going to work, we haven't actually decided that yet.
Are there any news regarding those new followers we're getting or those champions? Because in Gamescom you said, well, they are more meaningful and they have a story, but that was quite it, what we could have gathered in information for them. So what are the news regarding those?
There was no other news regarding those.
No!
Sorry.
Okay, the Ashbringer is the only artifact, as far as I know, that is really meaningful and well known in the player base. Why did you only one of those Ashbringers, and why does Tyrion gave this Ashbringer away?
I'd say Doomhammer is also a very well-known artifact that's handled by someone, and so we'll have a storyline that's relevant in terms of why those artifacts end up in the player's hands. So I'm not going to talk about that. That'll be something you have to discover as time goes on.
It seems that Suramar is like the end zone of Legion and the Broken Isle. So I was wondering if we can play this content or Suramar with the release of Legion, or will it come later, like Tanan Jungle?
Yeah, the plan right now is that it would be part of the release content. Yeah, old Night Elf home of the old Night Elf civilization. So we're really excited for players. It's been really hard to kind of visualize that from both a kind of an art perspective and a kitting perspective to make it really feel like, an ancient Night Elf civilization. But we definitely want that to be part of the shipping game.
Okay, I know you're not the PvP guy, this is Holinka, but perhaps you can answer a basic question about the new system. The new honor system does wipe out the honor, all the honor, and you got a title, I guess, for this, but you lose all your perks that you gathered along the way. In my imagination, that feels a little bit, stupid. I must give away all my abilities and also gain this stupid title, like what does it feel like? What is the intention behind this?
Do you mean the prestige system? Yeah, so basically the idea is to reward people who are, extremely hardcore PvP players who actually those things matter, right? And have cosmetic rewards that allow them to kind of show how dedicated they are to PvP and how hardcore they are about it. It's definitely not for everyone, right? I don't think that there's going to be, that's not something that we ever want to make as a requirement, right? It's a player option that you can decide, hey, I'm going to give up these rewards in order to kind of chase those cosmetic rewards, and mostly just be one of those things where you can talk about, well, here's this guy that's prestige 4 times. That guy is a super hardcore PvPer, right? Just give that level of recognition for that. But it's definitely not something we expect every player to do.
I think it was said that the Broken Isle will be released before Legion, so that we can already play kind of the prelude to the expansion. Do you have already plans in what time or when it will be available? Or yes?
Tomorrow.
I don't believe you.
That's because you're wise. It's not going to be tomorrow. When we feel like it's great. So right now we've got that as part of kind of what we call the pre-patch. So it'll probably come out, a month, 5 weeks, 6 weeks around that time before the box actually comes out. So you'll know as we get closer and we kind of have dropped or have locked in kind of a box drop date and kind of what the date that we'll be shooting for that. But 4 to 6 weeks is usually before the box drop is about what we're targeting for.
All right.
Which is very close to tomorrow, but really nothing like tomorrow.
Okay. The Demon Hunter class is the new class for Legion, and I read that it's possible if you pre-purchase Legion, you can play it sooner before the release. Can you tell us more about that? How it will work out?
Yeah, so that's one of the things that we want to have available sometime during the pre-patch timeframe. Is so sometime in that 4 to 6 week time period, we'll actually enable, and we'll announce this ahead of time. It's like, okay, everyone who's kind of pre-ordered can get access to their Demon Hunter, can create that, go through that experience. And the idea is we actually want people to have the opportunity to try Demon Hunter before the box actually comes out, decide whether that class is for them, and decide, hey, is this going to be my main? Is this going to be the first thing that I'm going to do? I'm going to level up to 110, or for those people who decide on one particular class. But mostly just give an opportunity for people to play the Demon Hunter right before the expansion begins.
You've also made the decision to sell the character boost to level 100 just with the pre-order. So what's the reason behind that?
We did the same thing with the Warlords of Duranor. Basically, we think the character boost is about the ability for you to play with your friends, right? And so you've got someone. We're thinking about expansions these days as D&D modules. If you think about that, so if you play D&D, you don't have to play every single D&D module. You don't have to play every single expansion, but we want to make it really easy for you to kind of come back and play with your friends, and that's the whole point of the character boost system. Well, thanks, guys. Great questions.